ink itself. So the ink and the blood mixing together will tend to make it look dark, but when it heals, it'll heal to a real nice soft gray, and you'll get some real nice gray shading. So you can see by just going back and forth over it with real thinned out ink, once you wipe it down, you're going to get some nice softer gray shades out of that. I'm using somewhere around 2 to 3 drips of black ink in a little cup, and then I've diluted it with water. You can also use witch hazel, that works good. Depends on whatever you want to use. Just remember, if you start out with a lighter shade of black, you can always go back and darken it. Once you put it in and it's too dark, you're pretty much committed to that. That's what you're going to get. So start with thinner black when you're doing your shading. We're going to form some texture in this head here. I'm just going to add some little bumps and stuff in the head. I'm just taking that's all kind of watered down. You'll see when I wipe it down. I'm going to give it a little spray here because then you'll be able to see it a little clearer. I'll wipe it down. Now you can see this is almost a blood line. It's starting to get, it's just a little bit gray compared to here where we went from darker to lighter. And you just got to go through your whole piece like this, just looking at the drawing and deciding where you want the shadows and what you want dark and what you want shaded. Just remember you have a light source, so you know if the light's coming from this way, you want it dark on the other side. Basic art is all that is. Shade the horns out. The shading probably takes the longest to do on a piece like this. You want to get it all completely shaded out, all the right places. That's what makes it look nice. Otherwise you get that coloring book look, which I talked about before. We don't want that. You want all nice shading in here. All along these eyes, and every place where it's supposed to look indented is where you want to pull out some black ink. Give it some nice shadows. And you can see I'm getting, even with that shadowing, I'm getting into some tight little spots with this flat shader. I think that's a problem some people have with them. They think it's such a wide, flat needle that they can't get into anything tight with it, but you can. I could follow that right along the bottom of that little eyeball there without a problem. It looks like you're putting in a lot of ink when you're doing this here, when you're doing this shading like that, but that's mostly watered down ink, so it's not going in real dark and real solid. It's just giving a nice soft shade to it. So I'm going to keep going through this and shade this all out, and then you can come back and see what that's going to look like. I'll let this run for a few more minutes here and you can see where I'm going with it. Just remember, everybody's got a different technique when they shade with any kind of a needle. So you kind of have to pick up your own style when you do it, but this video will sure get you a good start on what you're supposed to be looking like when it's done. And again, you can see this is more water than it is ink in here. When you wipe it off, you're going to see more, you'll see a little bit of blood, more blood in the skin than you will when you're doing solid colors. But just by taking that watered down ink and going over it like that, it'll eventually build up to a nice soft shade. You can see I'm pulling it off of here like this, and I'm lifting as I come out so I don't wind up with a hard line at the bottom. And this will give you a nice rounded look here. I'm going to wipe this off and show you where we're at right now. So you can see the different effects you can get. You can get a real solid black, you can get these softer lines. Now here I had no outline at all, but I just went in and I'm going to put a little bit of texture up in the head like this, just by taking that shader and just whipping it around. So we're going to finish shading it up and then we'll get into the color part with that. Now you can see we're done with the black shading on here. We've got it all shaded in where we want. I'm going to do a little bit of the color in here now so you can get an idea how that works. Got all the darks and all the blacks in and everything. So we're going to start with this. And you'll notice too on this picture that these colors, they start with some real solid colors and they lighten up. So that's how I'm going to show you what to do. And you go right over your black shading with this color here. And now I'm going to look for a kind of a solid look here with this orange. And you'll see that, like I said before, this mag shader will put this color in pretty quick. You'll get a good idea of what's happening here. You can thin down these colors too the same way you did the blacks when you start getting to the lighter shades of them. Or just dip your needle in some water and then hit the color. Because what you're going to want to get here is some real nice solid stuff. And I'm going to leave a little bit of the skin tone showing towards the edge of the tattoo. Right along this outline, I'm going to leave this open. I'm just going to bring the color almost to the edge. Because the skin tone will actually act as a highlight when you're coloring. And you're basically putting in this color like you did the solid black shading, except in spots we're going to leave where we want it to highlight. You can see I've taken the orange and I've gone around here, but I've left the center a little bit open. And then I'm just going to kind of sweep shade it in a little bit more, just